Russian interference, the actual known and the continuing concern of Russia's desire to mess with our elections. Do you believe in the urgency of that situation, and do you think something should be done about it?
Of course, everyone believes in the urgency of that. Everyone said that. So, of course, that's important. But I do think there needs to be some balance here when we think about what James Comey testified a few weeks ago. We did an op-ed on this, Chris, where we talked about where Mr. Comey misled the American people when he called the Clinton investigation a matter instead of an investigation, which it was. He did it willfully. He did it intentionally. He did it at the direction of the Attorney General. Now, think about that. The Attorney General tells the FBI director to mislead the American people, and he did it. And we know this year he also misled the American people when he furthered the perception that President Trump was under investigation, when in fact he wasn't, and had been told 3 times by James Comey himself that he wasn't under investigation.
Why do you read
we're calling for hearings. We're calling for hearings, Mr. Comey, Mr. Lynch, and it's not just Republicans. Dianne Feinstein said we should look into this matter as well. So we think that's important. Sure, it's important what the Russians were trying to do in our election. We need to get to the bottom of that, but we need to make sure it's done in the right way.
All right, let's discuss your op-ed, because it can read as just tit for tat. You're investigating our guys, so we want to investigate your guys. The obvious exigency of investigating Russian interference, and yes, these ancillary questions, somewhat involved and related questions of collusion, are relevant because
Chris,
it's a situation we're dealing with right now with Russian interference with a current administration. Why would you see that as being equivalent to looking at what happened with non-presidential people before now?
All I'm saying is let's investigate the investigators, not just me. Even Democrat Senator Feinstein said we should look into it. Remember, after James Comey did that...
She did not suggest the urgency that you are. She didn't say we should put it on equal footing with everything we're doing about Russia.
You don't think it's important to understand why the Justice Department misled the American people, and then why that same individual, when he was fired, decided he was going to leak a government memo through a friend to the New York Times with the stated goal, he said this under oath, with the stated objective to create momentum for a special counsel, and not just any special counsel, but his good friend, his mentor, and his predecessor, Bob Mueller? You don't think that's important to get to the bottom of all that?
Listen, I smell what you're cooking here, Congressman. We both know it's not up for me to decide what gets investigated or not, but there are a lot of fact assumptions in your argument that we should discuss. One,
this is what James Comey testified to, Chris.
But you're implying intent in what he testified to. You say that he intentionally and willfully deceived the American people by calling it a matter instead of an investigation, and that he was told by the Attorney General then to mislead the American people. He never said that, and there is no indication that that's what the Attorney General asked him to do.
Did you listen to his testimony?
Every word.
Call it a matter, not an investigation.
Yes.
He said, should we really do that?
And he said he didn't like that she asked him to do that.
But he might have said that, and he testified that he said that. But what did he do? He went out and misled the American people.
But he didn't. But he didn't think he was misleading the American people because he got his hands around. This is just by his own testimony, his own reckoning. I'm saying you're implying intent that he did not reveal in his own testimony. He never said, "So I decided I will mislead the American people like she." He never said that.
Okay, so
you're saying that's why he did it, and I'm saying you can say that. That's your opinion, but it's not a fact.
I'm not saying that's why he did it. I'm saying he did it. The Attorney General told him to call it a matter, not an investigation, when it in fact was an investigation. What did he call it? He called it a matter. If that's not misleading, when he questioned when she told him to do that, he questioned it, yet he went out and did it. Then he misled the American people when he furthered this perception that the president was under investigation. Then he leaks the memo.
How did he do that?
And he said under oath.
But he never told the American people that the president was under investigation. How did he do that? How did he intentionally allow people to believe the president was under investigation?
Because 3 times he had told the president he wasn't under investigation, and that yet he won't clear that up and tell the American people that in fact was the case. He furthers that perception.
Why would he
leaks a memo when he gets fired to protect himself?
Wait, but Congressman, hold on a second. Why would he go out and tell the American people that the president's not under investigation? Just because the president asked him to?
No, maybe because it was the truth, Chris. All I'm saying is, why not just be truthful?
That the president was under investigation?
He wasn't truthful in either situation. he gets fired, and now it's like, oh, because James Comey got fired, because someone in the Justice Department is so critical, we got to have a special counsel to get to the bottom of all this. Where was the special counsel in the IRS targeting investigation?
Republicans were in favor of this special counsel. Republicans praised Bob Mueller, who's a registered Republican, by the way. You seem to forget that fact. You know, there's a list in front of me of all these big shot Republicans saying Mueller is a great guy to have doing this. This is the right move.
Yeah, you know what I said. I said, look, I understand he's got a great reputation. I know the one encounter I had with Bob Mueller in committee, he couldn't answer one single question about the IRS investigation. We passed a resolution in Congress calling for a special counsel in the IRS targeting of conservative groups, and the Justice Department then said no. Where was the special counsel when numerous members of Congress called for it in the Clinton investigation? Maybe if there had been a special counsel in the Clinton investigation, they would have called it an investigation, not a matter. So I'm just saying, where's the consistency here? That's what we point out in our op-ed. And then, of course, who are the people that Bob Mueller has hired? All Democrats, all big contributors to presidential candidates who run on the Democrat side.
They're not all Democrats.
James Quarles, Jeannie Ray representing Clinton and the Clinton Foundation.
Listen, I get your opinion, but here are the facts. 3 of 8 of the Mueller hires made contributions to Clinton. Okay? 3 of the 8. You had Rosenstein. You had the DOJ. Both say that political contributions are not dispositive of bias. None of them ever worked for Clinton directly. 2 who did represent Clinton's foundation or an aide never worked for her, and they worked at a place which also represented key members of Trump's White House, including Manafort, Kushner, and Ivanka Trump. So I get what you're trying to suggest, but the facts aren't there.
The facts are there.
They
James
were all
Quarles,
vetted by the DOJ, and they were seen to not have meaningful conflict.
So
Rosenstein said the same thing.
We can't find no Republicans, no independent people can go on this special counsel
Who's saying that you don't
team?
Have independents or Republicans? You have a Republican running it. Special counsel is a Republican.
Every news story talks about James Quarles, Jeannie Ray, all these folks who had strong and long connections with Democrat candidates for president, long support for James Quarles, clear back to Dukakis. He supported every Democrat candidate from Dukakis to Clinton. So again, where's
Mueller,
the balance
the Republican, had no problems with it. The DOJ had no problems with it. Rosenstein, who all you guys were celebrating, had no problems with it. But you're saying it's phony.
I wasn't celebrating. Yeah, I wasn't celebrating. All I'm saying is, look.
Maybe you're the exception, not the rule within your own party. That's what I'm suggesting.
Maybe that's why we need to have hearings. That's why we've called for him to look at what James Comey did, unprecedented what he did, and the idea that the Attorney General can tell the FBI director not to be square with the American people. I don't think the American people appreciate that. And that's not supposed to be how
You're assuming an intentionality, and maybe that would be something.
I'm not assuming anything, Chris.
She
told him to call it to portray it in a certain manner.
And you're saying that she wanted him to call it that because she wanted to deceive the American people. That's not known. Maybe it should be asked about. Maybe it should be probed. That's your call.
Chris, come on.
That's your call.
So
I have to know.
What other reason would there be?
I have to hear it from her. That's how it works. That's why you would ask her the questions. I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but I'm saying we'd have to hear it
the same lady who met with Bill Clinton on the tarmac tells the FBI director not to call it an investigation,
that's suspicious as well.
There's no intent there.
That's suspicious as well. I'm just saying we're dealing with the here and now with Russia. You're dealing with the back then. I'm not sure that there's equal relevance, but that's your case to make. You make it well in the op-ed. People should read it. It's out there. Jim Jordan, thank you very much for coming on the show to make the case.
A huge difference between Melania and Michelle Obama. Andrew Kerr for Western Journalism reports, besides the obvious differences between the two, a staff salary report released by the Trump administration on Friday shows that the Trump White House is spending less on payroll than the Obama White House. The report by the government watchdog Open the Books found that President Donald Trump's 2017 payroll is down $5.1 million in comparison to President Barack Obama's 2015 payroll. The watchdog organization projects 4-year savings on Trump's White House payroll could exceed $22 million. The savings are driven by Trump's refusal to take a salary, as well as significant reductions in policy czars, expensive fellowship programs, and staff for the First Lady. According to the watchdog group, in total, there were 110 fewer employees on the White House payroll under Trump than under Obama. they stayed at this point in their respective presidencies. Michelle Obama's staff of 24 in 2009 was the largest of any first lady, besting even Queen Hillary herself. Hillary's staff had 19. Laura Bush had 18 staffers. First Lady Melania Trump, on the other hand, only has 5 staffers on hand whose annual salaries range from $77,000 to $179,000 a year. Wow. Right here, President Obama came under fire starting in 2009 for hiring expensive special initiative czars like the director of White House Office of Health Reform, Nancy Ann DeParle, earned $158,000 a year. The assistant to the president for energy and climate change, Carol Browner, earned $172,000 a year. White House Director of Urban Affairs, Adolfo Carrion Jr., earned $158,000 a year. They state here that Open the Books found no evidence of so-called czars on the White House payroll. Obama's White House Leadership Development Program, Fellowship Program, also came at a high cost. Fellowship candidate Elaine Ho earned a salary of $158,000 a year for her time working in the First Lady's office to implement Michelle Obama's Let Girls Learn initiative, as if girls somehow are not learning. So, massive differences, massive savings, of course, despite the obvious you can see here when you compare the two. So what are your thoughts? Comment below, subscribe for updates. If you like what we're doing, give us a thumbs up and share this report on your social networks. For the